Now, a Hampshire writer and commentator has been describing what he calls a Gestapo-type raid by immigration officers on his family. Mo Ansar was visiting relatives in Watford when they were raided early this morning. He's on the line now. Mo, thank you very much indeed for joining me this afternoon. Tell me what happened.
You're very welcome, Lou. It was one of the oddest things. I mean, it's something that many people would have been doing over the Easter holidays, which is getting together with family and friends. And, I'm a Watford boy, born and bred, but I've been in Hampshire for over 20 years. We'd come back up to visit my family with my wife, our young children. And having stayed overnight, about 6:30, 6:45 this morning, we had a massive bang on the door. It felt like somebody was trying to break in. My father came down and he opened the door, and I was with him, and we saw a stream of uniformed officers come into the home. I thought initially they were police officers, but it turns out they were from the Home Office and from UK Immigration. And they said they were looking for somebody, but it was absolutely terrifying. They bundled us into the lounge, and the men of the family were there. We were told to sit down. We weren't allowed to leave. They stood over the top of us and were very, very intimidating and aggressive and incredibly heavy-handed. And I pulled them up on their aggression. I asked them, why are you being so aggressive? And they said, well, we're expecting trouble. And they then proceeded to raid the house, go around all the bedrooms with women and children asleep in beds, turning them out of their beds and turning them out of their rooms with no sensitivity or consideration for it being a family home, people on holiday, or the fact we're a Muslim family at all. And then eventually, when I was asked who I was, somebody asked me for my papers. And that is what made me, I think, the angriest, which is I'm a British, born and bred, educated here. I support our country and our democracy. And when I talk and I write and I give interviews, I try and talk about peace and unity and tolerance and moderation in society. And for me to be asked for my papers in 2014 was just frightening.
So, Mo, who were they looking for?
I can't even remember the name of the man, but they had a name on a warrant, and they said they were looking for him. And I said, look, I don't know who he is. I've never heard of him. He certainly doesn't live here. And at that point, then one of the officers turned to me and said, well, who are you? I gave him my name, and he said, what do you do? And I told him what I did. And then he proceeded to ask me for my papers. And meanwhile, we had officers running up and down home, looking in bedrooms and turning women out of their beds. And I wonder sometimes if this was a well-heeled part of Hertfordshire or Hampshire and a white English family, I do wonder whether they would have been given the same sort of treatment.
We spoke to the Home Office. It sounds very dramatic what happened. They've issued us a statement. The Home Office Immigration Enforcement executed a warrant issued by magistrates at a residential address in Watford this morning based on intelligence received about a potential immigration offender. The suspected offender was not encountered. Entry, it says, was not forcibly gained and no force was used at any point during the visit. Officers entered the premises at 7:05am and left at 7:15am. So there for just 10 minutes.
Well, I'm not sure about the timekeeping issue, but I'll tell you one thing. The minute I said to them, I'm a political commentator who comes on television and radio regularly, one of the senior officers' eyebrows did certainly lift up and they made a sharpish exit. So I don't know whether bundling 7 officers into a family residence at that time in the morning is protocol, but certainly they were heavy-handed and they were very intimidating tactics and incredibly aggressive. And being forced into your lounge and being told you can't move from there and being told to sit down is effectively putting someone in a house arrest. It's appalling.
Mo, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. Mo Ansar, who was visiting relatives in Watford, telling us what happened.